Good morning, boys and girls. We're going to continue with our Diary of Anne Frank. I hope you guys are enjoying your spring break. I am getting some housework done and getting just to spend some time with my girls, so it's been great. So today we're going to read pages 181 to 185, and we're only going to answer one question in the green packet. And if you guys looked at your student plan, I'm not going to do this with you, because you should be able to do this on your own. I'm going to tell you where the question is answered, which page number, so that should be enough. From today's reading, we're just going to answer this one. We're going to explain Margot's conflicting feelings concerning Anne and Peter's relationship. So how does she feel? But her feelings kind of conflict to one another. So be on the lookout for that. And again, I'll let you know the page number. And then we'll check these off at the end of the week after you've sent them in, so I can make sure that you guys are doing it. So again, we're on page 181, March 20th, 1944.
Monday, 20 March 1944. Dear Kitty, this morning Pater asked me if I would come again one evening, and said that I really didn't disturb him, and if there's room for one, there's room for two. I said that I couldn't come every evening because they wouldn't like it downstairs, but he thought that I needn't let that bother me. Then I said that I would love to come one Saturday evening, and especially asked him to warn me when there was a moon. Then we'll go downstairs, he answered, and look at the moon from there. In the meantime, a little shadow has fallen on my happiness. I've thought for a long time that Margot liked Pater quite a lot too. How much she loves him, I don't know, but I think it's wretched. I must cause her terrible pain each time I'm with Pater. And the funny part of it is that she hardly shows it.
So stop there for a second. So we have some figurative language here. So she's happy, she's enjoying spending time with Peter, but a little shadow has fallen on her happiness. Now again, it's not a literal darkness, but it's a figurative darkness. And what is that darkness? She feels that maybe Margot also liked Peter, so she feels bad for having that relationship with Peter when Margot maybe should have had the first chance at that, her being older, or she just feels bad that Margot might feel jealous. And that's going to come up in our question, because she's going to figure out how Margot feels, and Margot's going to tell her pretty clearly.
I know quite well that I'd be desperately jealous, but Margot only says that I needn't pity her. I think it's so rotten that you should be the odd one out, I added. I'm so used to that, she answered somewhat bitterly. I don't dare tell Pater this yet, perhaps later on, but we've got to talk about so many other things first. I had a little ticking off yesterday evening from Mummy, which I certainly deserved. I mustn't overdo my indifference towards her, so in spite of everything, I must try once again to be friendly and keep my observations to myself. Even Pim is different lately. He is trying not to treat me as such a child, and it makes him much too cool. See what comes of it. Enough for now. I'm full to the brim with Pater and can do nothing but look at him. Evidence of Margot's goodness. I received this today.
So we're going to pause right there. They're going to go back and forth in letters about Peter, but I want to come up here before we get to that point. You actually have one of your new vocab words in here. This won't be until next week, but if you want to get a head start on it, it's indifference. So feel free to look that up on WordWeb or use a real dictionary, but that'll be our first word. That's page 182. That'll be for next week. Even Pim is treating her differently lately. He's trying to not treat her so much as a child, and that was a big gripe of hers last week as we were reading. She felt like she was older. They've gone through so much, her, Margot, and Peter. So he's trying it, but it's different for her. Their relationship's not the same because he always has been her father and, in a sense, spoiled her. So, let's see. So again, here's a letter. They write back and forth. This would be similar to you guys texting one another, or I don't know about Instagramming, but texting one another, maybe emailing, social media. So this is how Margot feels.
March 20th, 1944. Anna, When I said yesterday that I was not jealous of you, I was only 50% honest. It is like this. I'm jealous of neither you nor Pater. I only feel a bit sorry that I haven't found anyone yet, and am not likely to for the time being, with whom I can discuss my thoughts and feelings. But I should not grudge it to you for that reason. One misses enough here anyway, things that other people just take for granted. On the other hand, I know for certain that I would never have got so far with Pater anyway, because I have the feeling that if I wished to discuss a lot with anyone, I should want to be on rather intimate terms with him. I would want to have the feeling that he understood me through and through without my having to say much. But for that reason, it would have to be someone whom I felt was my superior intellectually, and that is not the case with Pater. But I can imagine it being so with you and Pater. You are not doing me out of anything which is my due, so do not reproach yourself in the least on my account. You and Pater can only gain by the friendship.
So that's important to note. You are not doing me out of anything, which is my due. So Margot doesn't feel like she should have Peter as a boyfriend just because she's the oldest and he's the only boy there. That's not what it is. So before I go over the answer with you, go back to that section. The answer is going to be on page 182. So I'm going to close this just for a second so I can put that on your green page. So you're going to use page 182 to help you find number 1. How does she feel? So let's go back to how Anne replies.
My reply. Dear Margot, I thought your letter was exceptionally sweet, but I still don't feel quite happy about it, and nor do I think that I shall. At present, there is no question of such confidence as you have in mind between Pater and myself, but in the twilight, beside an open window, you can say more to each other than in brilliant sunshine. Also, it's easier to whisper your feelings than to trumpet them forth out loud. I believe that you are beginning to feel a kind of sisterly affection for Pater, and that you would love to help him just as much as I. Perhaps you will still be able to do that sometime, although it is not the kind of confidence we have in mind. I think it must come from both sides, and I believe that's the reason why Daddy and I have never got so far. Let's not talk about it anymore. But if you still want anything, please write to me about it, because I can say what I mean much better on paper. You don't know how much I admire you, and I only hope that I may yet acquire some of the goodness that you and Daddy have, because now I don't see much difference between you and Daddy in that sense. Yours, Anna.
So that's Anne's reply. She kind of feels that Margot feels maybe a sisterly affection for Peter versus a boyfriend-girlfriend, and she compares Margot to her dad. Okay, so page 184.
Wednesday, 22 March 1944. Dear Kitty, I received this from Margot last evening. Dear Anna, after your letter yesterday, I have the unpleasant feeling that you will have prickings of conscience when you visit Pater. But really, there is no reason for this. In my heart of hearts, I feel that I have the right to share mutual confidence with someone, but I cannot bear Pater in that role yet. However, I do feel just as you say, that Pater is a bit like a brother, but a younger brother. We have put out feelers towards each other. The affection of a brother and sister might grow if they touched. Perhaps they will later. Perhaps never. However, it has certainly not reached that stage yet. Therefore, you really needn't pity me. Now that you've found companionship, enjoy it as much as you can.
I don't know if there's any sarcasm here between the two sisters. Margot saying that she doesn't really care for Peter in that way. There is a sisterly and brotherly affection that she has. And she says, tells her little sister, don't pity me. So I don't know if that's genuine or if she is saying that with a little bit of sarcasm. But in the comments on this video, can you guys let me know why Margot doesn't like Peter, or why she doesn't have those feelings for him. He's kind of lacking something for her. And I want to see if you guys caught it. Let's continue.
In the meantime, it is getting more and more wonderful here. I believe, Kitty, that we may have a real great love in the secret annex. Don't worry. I'm not thinking of marrying him. I don't know what he would be like when he grows up, nor do I know whether we should ever love each other enough to marry. I know now that Peter loves me, but just how, I myself don't know yet. Whether he only wants a great friend, or whether I attract him as a girl or as a sister, I can't yet discover. When he said that I always helped him over his parents' quarrels, I was awfully glad. It was one step towards making me believe in his friendship. I asked him yesterday what he would do if there were a dozen Annas here who always kept coming to him. His reply was, if they were all like you, it certainly wouldn't be too bad. He's tremendously hospitable towards me, and I really believe he likes to see me. Meanwhile, he is working diligently at his French, even when he's in bed, going on until 10:15. Oh, when I think about Saturday evening and recall it all word for word, then for the first time I don't feel discontented about myself. I mean that I would still say exactly the same and wouldn't wish to change anything, as is usually the case.
So this is a really big turning point for her. One of the reasons she does care for Peter so much here is that he really behaves hospitably toward her, and she believes that he actually likes to see her. Remember, as many of you guys wrote in your vocab sentences last week, everybody felt like she was an insufferable baby. She got on everybody's nerves. She even hated that she would speak so brashly towards people, but that's just her nature. But he actually likes her for who she is, and that just means the world to her, especially here. I would still say exactly the same and wouldn't wish to change anything, as usually is the case. She usually reflects on the conversations that she has, and she thinks, why did I say that? I shouldn't be so mean to my mom, or I shouldn't have spoken out like that. But with her conversations with Peter, she doesn't want to change anything. I think she feels she can be herself with him, which again means the world to her.
He is so handsome, both when he laughs and when he looks quietly in front of him. He is such a darling and so good. I believe what surprised him most about me was when he discovered that I'm not a bit the superficial worldly Anna that I appear, but just as dreamy a specimen, with just as many difficulties as he himself. Yours, Anna.
And I think he cares for her because deep down when he gets to know her, she's similar to him. She's not perfect. She doubts herself. And I think he felt that she wasn't that way, that he was the only one that had doubts about himself, but he sees that she doubts herself, and that makes him feel a bit more at ease. And then so she writes back to Margot.
Reply. Dear Margot, I think the best thing we can do is simply to wait and see what happens. It can't be very long before Peter and I come to a definite decision, either to go on as before or be different. Just which way it will go I don't know myself, and I don't bother to look beyond my own nose. But I shall certainly do one thing, if Peter and I decide to be friends. I shall tell him that you are very fond of him too, and would always be prepared to help him should the need arise. The latter may not be what you wish, but I don't care now. I don't know what Peter thinks about you, but I shall ask him then. I'm sure it's not bad, the opposite. You are always welcome to join us in the attic or wherever we are. You honestly won't disturb us because I feel we have a silent agreement to talk only in the evenings when it's dark. Keep your courage up, like I do. Although it's not always easy, your time may come sooner than you think. Yours, Anna.
So I'm curious to see what you guys think about that, and saying that if she and Peter end up just being friends and not being boyfriend and girlfriend, that she will tell Peter, hey, I think my sister likes you. So I don't know, what do you guys think? Is she getting involved too much? Should she leave that up to Margot? So we're going to stop there for today. We'll start on page 186 on the next video, but your homework or classwork or homework because you're home is to just answer this next one. How does Margot feel? And again, in the comments, why doesn't she want Peter as a boyfriend? Did you guys catch that? I'm curious. All right, I will talk to you guys soon.